Welcome to Movie House Cinemas. Popcorn? Yes, please. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the movie. Reclining chairs? Don't mind if I do. Action, thriller, romance, we got it all. Discover the cinema today. Movie House Cinemas, home of the movies.
Good evening, and welcome along to Rob and Elliott tonight. Good to have your company on the show once again. Now, who's going to be joining me tonight? Well, I'll be chatting to dating expert and star of Married at First Sight, Charlene Douglas is going to be with us. We'll also be meeting Scottish comedian Billy Porter, who's based out in Tenerife, and I'll be catching up with Billy poolside from the island. Also, we'll be chatting to playwright and author Paul McVeigh. He's going to be telling us about a very exciting project that he has got in the pipeline, and we'll also be finding out about this year's Aspects Literary Festival. As well as that, some brand new music from Belfast's blues star Dom Martin and also Johnny Brady together with Nigel Connell. So that's all coming up tonight on the show. But starting us off on the show, as always, let's do the big talking points. To help us this week, she's back, broadcaster and journalist Kim Kelly. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. And you?
I'm very well, thank you. Good to see you. It feels like it's been a while, doesn't it?
You're very tanned. You look great.
Thank you.
Gadding about on your holidays.
Well, I saw you on the beach the other day. And
yeah,
Port
it was
Stewart
Castle
having
Rock
a great
and
time.
Port Stewart. That was great, actually. That was my mother-in-law's 80th birthday. Happy birthday, mother-in-law.
It looked like you were all having a great time.
It was a brilliant time,
yeah.
Although a little life hack here, don't drink cocktails at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Right, okay.
I can't keep up with those 80-year-olds.
So you were asleep at like 2 in the afternoon?
I was asleep by 2. They kept on going.
Wow.
They're really good. 80-year-olds are good. They all go in sea swimming and then they have a little nip and they drink at 10 o'clock in the morning.
So that's the secret to long life then.
Must be.
That's the way to do it.
I mean, it really hit me. It really, really hit me. I was like, I wasn't great.
Let's get stuck into this week's stories, because a few months back we're talking about washing your underwear along with your towels as well.
We tackle the big issues here.
We do, don't we?
We do. We have tackled this issue. Do you wash your undercrackers with your tea towels? The answer is no. Okay, don't do it. On Twitter the other day, you know Roman Kemp, the TV
Yes.
presenter, for some reason he put up a tweet going, how often do you wash your towels? Now, most people would say maybe once a week, after every use, every few days. Loads of people answered every 4 months.
What?
I don't know. And this got into quite a debate. Quite a lot of people said...
And what towels? Are we talking about bathroom towels here?
Bathroom towels. I mean,
No.
I would love that. I live with, obviously, a man and a child. I would love it if we could only wash our towels every 4 months. I'm basically like a washerwoman down at the river washing the towels every day.
But they would be stinking.
Well, they did a survey then off the back of this, and apparently 40% of people only wash their towels every 3 or 4 months.
But does that mean then these people are only having a bath or a shower
It didn't
every month or so as well?
specify. It didn't specify. I suppose they're drying them over, maybe if you've got a heated towel reel, but it's a bit grim, isn't it?
No, they've got to go in the wash basket straight after
Really?
use.
You see, that's because
Straight
you're the man
after.
who doesn't do the laundry. I would encourage a couple of uses,
Yes.
but my partner is absolutely not. He's like sparkling white towel after everything, straight into the laundry.
Yes. Oh.
Men, honestly, it's because men don't have to do the washing, isn't it?
No, for 4 months, that's a bit...
4 months is a bit grim.
That's a bit, yes.
Even by our standards.
Definitely, yes, yeah, okay.
So we've had to tread very carefully with this, because remember last time that you said that you washed your undercrackers with your tea towels, and your good lady wife phoned me up going, what? She doesn't even do any laundry. I would just like to point out, Robin washes his towels after every use and never washes his towels with his tea towels.
Right, we're moving on to wine.
Rivers of
Last
wine.
week I was talking to Paul Martin about France and Paris getting rid of all their wine because they've got
Yes.
too much of the stuff.
Yes.
But you've found a load in Portugal, haven't you?
In Portugal, there is a river of wine flowing through a village in southern Portugal. This is a wine area of Portugal, and the vats that hold the wine, they burst their banks, letting a swimming pool, Olympic swimming pool of wine, flood down the streets.
Wow.
Red wine. They had to call the fire brigade, who had to divert the wine into a river.
Wow, okay.
But like, imagine you could get out with your cup.
Exactly.
Drinking
I'm surprised
it.
the whole village weren't down, just filling their bottles and their
I think I
cups
might have
and-
been. Well, I'm not a fan of red wine, but like, I don't even like, I'd be down with my cup drinking that.
Do you know, in Portugal as well, Cliff Richard has his own vineyard and
Right.
his own wine
Right.
in Portugal. So if you ever find yourself in Albufeira, go along and
Is it
visit
nice?
Cliff's vineyard and try his wine.
Lots of famous people have vineyards. Like Kylie Minogue has her own wine.
Yeah.
Graham Norton has his own gin.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
a definite thing, isn't
And
it?
Cliff has his own wine, but I wouldn't.
I mean, I'm sure he's lovely, but I don't sort of think Cliff Richard, yeah, let's have a glass of wine. Kylie, yes. I mean, she
Yes.
does really well with that fizzy wine.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
'cause it's kind of like, yeah, Kylie, but Cliff, mistletoe and white, and just not really. Not really for me.
Okay, let's do one final one. Davina is back in a new
She
TV show.
is, good old Davina. She's back with a show called My Mum, Your Dad.
Right.
So this is 9 40 and 50-something-year-olds who have been chosen by their children to find love. It's kind of like Love Island, I was going to say for the elderly, but seeing as we're that age, well, not for the middle-aged. Honestly, yes, middle-aged Love Island. So these 9 people go into this beautiful home and they are manipulated kind of by their children who are in another place watching them through video cameras. Now I have to say, these people are very attractive. They are very well preserved, very well kept, and they're all quite lonely. You know what it's like whenever you get to a certain age. Now it's fine because we have found our loves, but I remember dating in my early 40s and it is a nightmare out there. It's a jungle out there. As viewers watching this will know, it's not easy. The dating scene is very hard, and some of these people have been widowed, some have been divorced. There was one woman who came on, she was absolutely gorgeous, and she went, I've been cheated on my whole life. And it was quite sad. And this other very handsome man who was widowed, he was just sort of saying, I just want to find somebody to come home to every night. It was quite touching, it sort of touched upon something that we've talked about, being lonely in sort of later years. Whenever you're in your 40s and 50s, you're a bit more financially secure, well, a bit. You've got your own home, your children have grown up, your career's usually sorted, but if you haven't got somebody to share that with, that can be very lonely. So it's nice now that we have so-called middle-aged Love Island. Now this was dreamt up by the lovely Davina.
Really?
Yeah, because she found love. She divorced in I think her late 40s and has found love recently. She kept on pitching this to ITV saying we need a middle-aged Love Island, and they were like, oh no way, it's only young people. But I think she's got the format right because the people are so attractive, because otherwise people were sort of sneering going, oh, it's Love Handle Island, but they're not. These people are lovely. I mean, they really are nice, and the home they're staying in is gorgeous, and the music's really good, and I think it's going to be classy. I don't think it's going to be fumbling under the bed clothes sort of Love Island.
No.
And of course these people have a lot more to say for themselves.
Exactly.
They're really interesting. So I have high hopes for this show. I really do.
I'm going to watch that.
Yeah, it's really
am,
interesting.
yeah.
If you watch the first show, you get to meet all the people, and yeah, it gives hope to all of us, doesn't it?
Okay, now talking about dating, Married at First Sight is
Yes.
coming back. Dating expert Charlene Douglas is on with
Yes.
us later on, talking about the
Yes.
pressures of dating these days and texting as well, which is a big thing people are apparently worried about when starting to date.
Yes.
What do you say in your text messages? What do you do?
Yes.
Do you put the kisses? Do you send emojis? Do
Oh,
you do
yes,
all that kind of stuff?
yes.
So we're talking about that later on. What really annoys
Mindful.
you about texting?
People texting me just in the first place. People texting me, your phone beeps, and you go, oh, what? I'm so antisocial. Is it whenever you get older, you become really antisocial?
I think so.
I would nearly prefer if somebody picked up the phone and rang me. Sometimes on the long voice notes.
I can't
like
do
a
voice-
podcast.
Oh,
the podcast.
8 minutes. I had an 8-minute voice note this week.
And certain people only contact you certain ways. My sister only ever FaceTimes me. She will not pick up a phone call.
I can't do FaceTime.
But she wants to FaceTime me the whole time. And then I have another friend who will only voice note, and she'll send like 4 or 5 of like a minute long. You're like,
Yeah.
that's a large chunk out of my life.
Exactly.
That I'm not going to get back listening to your woes,
Yeah,
really.
exactly, yes,
Be brief. And then
Yes.
of course it's the emojis.
See,
that-
I like your texting. Because
And just very
I text you little brief things, and
like
in
straight back,
seconds,
straight
you're
back.
straight back to the point.
and it's yes or no.
Exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
it's
There's no
yes or no.
nonsense in between. It's
No.
yes or no.
Yes, that's what I want.
I like
don't
that.
want I don't really want to know all your business. I like you,
Yes.
but I don't need to be involved in your drama.
Exactly.
And that's why we're friends.
Exactly. We do everything. Little short sentences.
Short sentences, yes, I can do that. No, I can't do that, but I can do it at this time instead. Good.
Yes. Perfect.
Not like our mutual friend.
8 minutes.
8 minutes.
Voice notes.
I know who that is.
Yeah.
He's quite verbose.
He is,
and he's also very manic as well. So yes,
Crazy,
long messages.
Yeah.
But yeah, my heart falls whenever I look at sometimes. You're like, oh no, this is going to be forever. or they send what I really hate. Whenever somebody texts you with something like a CV or like a short story they've written, can you look at this? And you're like, what am I supposed to say? This is a load of rubbish.
Yes.
I mean, obviously you're going to say, oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
What are you going to say? The other thing I hate is whenever you ask somebody to like an event, if we're like arranging an event, and they come back, what am I going to wear? You're an adult. Decide for yourself what you're going to wear. Decide for yourself.
Yes.
Take a punt. Decide for yourself.
Exactly.
I'm not your dresser. I'm not your mother. Choose an outfit. Turn up on time. You know, but this like long questions. What will I wear and what are you wearing? Oh my goodness. Why do you care what I'm wearing? What does it matter?
Yeah.
That. People are a bit needy.
They are a bit needy. Anyway, we've got a lot off our chests.
We have. That was quite cathartic, wasn't it?
Yes, that's great.
Things we don't like about people, a podcast.
Kim Kelly, thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Right, time for some brand new music and one of the best blues artists ever to come out of Belfast. We're talking about Dom Martin. He's got a brand new album coming out called Buried in the Hill, and this is the first single. Here's Dom Martin with Belfast Blues. Fabulous. Brand new music from Dom Martin. That's called Belfast Blues. We must get him live in the studio sometime soon as well. Still to come on the show this evening, I'll be chatting to dating expert Charlene Douglas, and author and playwright Paul McVeigh joins us right after these.
Heading to the North Coast? The Jet Centre in Coleraine offers entertainment for everyone. There's an 8-screen movie house cinema with all the best movies, 10-pin bowling, a massive arcade, soft play for the wee ones. Outdoors, there's a mini fun park and gem mining, plus an 18-hole floodlit mini golf course. Rain or shine, there's something for everyone here at the Jet Centre. Find out more at thejetcentre.co.uk.
Right, some advice and some help for all you budding writers out there now. If you've ever wondered or maybe struggling to get a book published at the moment, I know somebody who could help you. Paul McVeigh joins us in the studio, along with Melanie Harrison, to tell us about a brand new project which is coming soon. Guys, welcome.
Thank you. Good
to see you both. Paul, last time you were here, we were talking about The Big Man, which was on at the Lyric.
That's right.
What a show that was.
Oh, thanks
the
very much.
The reviews were amazing, weren't
yes,
they?
so thanks you for coming to see it, and you were very supportive. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, it did very well, and went on to win an award at the Irish Times Theatre Award as well. I brought her down, in fact. What a coincidence. Right. Yeah, I brought her down. We had great fun under the free wine, didn't we? It was great.
Yeah. Tell us about this new project then. It's designed to help all kind of new writers out there, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I had I worked in theatre, and then I had kind of at some point given up on writing because it's a really hard business to crack. And I came at it again in my early 40s and thought, well, I'm going to give this another go, you know. And I sort of put together a list of what you might need to help you along the road and to get through some of those obstacles that are placed in front of you. Say if you're a poor and working class and you're working a full-time job, and then also you need people to give you feedback. But if you don't hang around in those circles, who's going to give you feedback? It's nice if your partner or your friend read it, but if they're a plumber, you know, or a chef, they don't really know. They can only say, oh, I like it, but they can't help you technically with your work. So one of the things also that a lot of people find is that even if they've got a week off work, they can't write because they're at home and they've got the washing and the food. They'll distract themselves with a million things and procrastinate, or they've got children and a partner, or they're a carer for someone. Mm-hmm. And even though they've carved out that time, the time just disappears. You know what it's like? You've got a week off work. You think, I'm going to do this, I'm going to renovate my house, but actually you don't if you stay at home. So you need to get away. So that was where the first idea came from when Melanie and I were talking when I first went up to see her place. I thought, God, this would be an amazing place to come and write. It's amazing. And then eventually, when Melanie very kindly offered the room for the week, I then thought about all the other things you might need, the advice from really successful writers, working with a top actor like Tony Finn, who was in Big Man, who will help you with reading out, because that's such a big part of being a writer now, going to present yourself at literary festivals and things. And then we thought about, an aftercare package, which is quite unique, which is once you've gone off then after there, you've started writing something and you've got something together, there's these organizations who are going to help you. They're going to read your work and give you like a 15-page document analyzing all your strengths and weaknesses and how to make your work better, and a couple of sessions with some experts in the industry who will advise you on your career, and memberships to the Royal Society of Literature and online organizations that will support you and give you access to free courses, and to keep all of that ongoing as well.
Brilliant.
So quite a lot in there, isn't it?
There is, and you mentioned a fabulous venue where it's taking place as well, and this is where Melanie comes in, because from what I was hearing, I knew about the Harrison, but I'm hearing all these great literary stories that are coming out of the place, and I mean, it sounds like the perfect venue to house something like this.
Yeah, so originally it was this Victorian townhouse, built in 1879. It's got these gorgeous big bay windows, which really lend themselves. You could see yourself with a typewriter typing away. And so it was the home of the Cleaver family of Robinson and Cleaver, but then later on, when it was apartments, John Hewitt lived there with his wife Roberta from 36 to 39. And we have like a Hewitt suite, and we actually launched the Hewitt anthology of poems. Michael Longley came and read and everything. So you have that, and then we also have all the different rooms after C.S. Lewis, Beckett, Heaney, Anthony Trollope, Yeats, all of the people with links to Northern Ireland, literary and creative people. So it really does lend itself to that. There's lots of space, high ceilings, lovely light, and there's just a nice little atmosphere where people can feel comfortable to write.
As well as all that history and stuff, you're very passionate about helping new artists and new writers and stuff, aren't you?
Yes, and I think really that was what we cut with Paul. You know, what can we do? What can, you know, as you know, we're not very funded in Northern Ireland. You know, so, you know, as in the tourist industry, you know, we benefit a lot from all this talent that's around. We've got this amazing theatre, we've got talented writers. I mean, this really showcases the people that we have, and this panel helping, you know, Paul's workshop. It shows what talent we have here and what can local businesses do to help the arts. You know, you don't have to be a big business, everyone can do a little bit to help. So Paul, tell us more about this residency then. Who should come and take part in this? Because I would imagine a lot of people, maybe on their first time writing something, it's kind of a lot of imposter syndrome out there.
Yeah. It's
taking that leap, isn't it?
It is taking that leap. And one of the things I've said in the sort of list of criteria is that, you know, you've got to take your writing seriously. You know, we want to really help you get into the industry, and there'll be, you know, information on all of that, and people will help you with one-on-one sessions on how to build a career, how to earn a living, how to deal with publishers and agents and all of that kind of stuff. So it is for people who are serious about it and who want to do it as a lifetime thing, as opposed to someone who's just doing it as a hobby. Now, they're not precluded from applying, but that's what it's more designed for. And if there would be a lot of it that wouldn't be relevant to you if you weren't taking it that seriously. Yeah. And similarly, you know, one of the connections that we had was this desire to promote Northern Ireland and Belfast, so that, you know, applications are open from all over the island of Ireland, but I've picked writers from Belfast. You know, there's Wendy Erskine, the amazing Wendy Erskine, who's, you know, I think they're working on a TV program based on her first collection. And there's Jan Carson, again, you know, won the European Literature Award a few years back there. Lucy Caldwell, who's won practically everything that anyone could ever win in their entire lives, and who writes novels, plays, dramas, radio dramas, and short stories, amazing. And Bernie McGill, another award-winning writer who's incredible, and we have so that there's people that have, and Bernie, you know, stayed here. She lives now up North Atlantic Coast, but it's to celebrate people from here, and to, like, so to bring attention when this, because the word of this has gone around over to America, people writing to me, you know, around the world. I mean, we're keeping it from people on this island, but next year it might be international. We don't know, but we certainly wanted to shine a light on our writers and say, look, this is just this one activity event, and look at the talent I've gotten together for this one thing. And they're all world-class writers who have won international awards as well. You know, Bernie had won an award in America, and, you know, these are people who are, you know, really well known. So I just wanted to say, look at the talent we have here, and if you're lucky enough, you can come and work with them. And so that was definitely part of the story of the residency, wasn't it? To draw you to Belfast. So when does the residency take place then, and how do people get enrolled then? 19th to the 26th of November. Yes. Yeah. And basically go on to the Harrison website, www.chambersofdistinction.com, and you go on to events, and you can see all about, you know, the Paul McVeigh residency, and you know, just follow the instructions, and Paul will read every single... I must just mention, I left off an author there, Kit Duval, who's not from Northern Ireland, but Kit Duval is like a very famous writer. I don't know if you saw, they did a big BBC show, My Name's Leon, which was all based on her first award-winning novel. Anyway, she's going to actually give them a pre-residency talk to talk to them about, like, how you might get the best out of it and how to make the best of it. And very quick, I just forgot to mention, was as well as someone who's going to come to the residency, I thought about people who can't leave the house, let's say for mobility issues, or because they're a carer for an elderly person or an ill person, or just because they have a number of children, or they can't afford, you know, for whatever reason. So there's two places. There's a place which is called an at-home residency. So the person can stay at home, but we will give them all the benefits that they will get a Zoom session with each of the authors. They will get the one-on-one session with the industry professionals. They'll get someone to read their manuscript and work with them. So there are actually 2 residencies available.
Brilliant, yeah.
So, yeah.
Excellent. So, Paul, what's next for you then as well? Is there any books in the pipeline?
I've got to write I'm scared. A long short story, because it's a half an hour of radio time for RTE, and that has to be in by the 1st of October. And then after that, I'm going to start working on a bit. But I've also got this big event in October in Dublin, which I'm really looking forward to, which is a day-long teaching in Brooks Hotel. And they have this little private cinema in the basement, which not many people know about. And they let me do events there occasionally. So I'm going to do an event on modern Dublin. And 3 writers who write about sort of the underbelly, or not often talked about parts of Dublin, and the kind of life that's not in the tourist brochures. And it's about sort of drawing attention to these modern voices who are each of the 3 writers are being really lauded for their unique voices. So it'll be interesting.
Brilliant. Well, the best of luck with that. The best of luck with the residency as well. Melanie will come up and do some filming at the Harrison at some stage as well, because I'm dying to find out more. I really am. So thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you.
Right, time for some brand new music, and Johnny Brady and Nigel Connell have been touring all over the place recently in the hugely successful group Take It to the Limit. The guys decided to sit down recently and write a song of their own. It's also their new single. It's called Waiting on the Other Side, and here is Johnny Brady and Nigel Connell.
Gone by looking for a brand new day, thinking about the things I need to change, hoping that tomorrow will be okay. Pack up my hopes and dreams and drive away. We'll never be alone again, 'cause you and me are living free. No place to be. Leave our shadows behind, 'cause we got you and me. No signs on the road, but we know where we're gonna go. With the wind on the back and the top off into the sun. We'll never be alone again. You and me, living free. We had along the way, different people, different towns every day. Drop through our lives, taking come on May. We keep moving on no matter what they say. We'll never be alone again, 'cause you and me living free.
Right, still to come on the show this evening, we're going to find out about this year's Aspects Literary Festival. We'll be catching up with a Scottish comedian, Billy Porter, as well. And we'll be chatting to dating expert Charlene Douglas. She's back with a brand new series of Married at First Sight. We'll find out all about it right after these.
Here we are on the north coast, where sporting legends are made. He needs this putt to advance to the next stage, but can he do it? The crowd are holding their breath. Can he cope with the pressure?
Dad, would you take the shot?
Yes! Yeah. Well.
And welcome back to Robin Elliott tonight. My next guest is a dating expert and also the star of the TV series Married at First Sight. We're talking about Charlene Douglas, and she's currently helping people navigate their way through the world of dating, as new research shows that texting is the most nerve-wracking part. Let's find out more. Charlene joins us on the line. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Very well, thank you. So we're talking about some new research that's all about dating and texting, and people are getting really nervous about the whole texting thing, aren't they?
I think they are. So I think what we found is that texting, like I said, people are quite anxious about this. You know, there's this whole kind of like, are our texting styles mismatched? So, you know, of course you get people that want to text every single day, people that don't. You get people that just do the kind of thumbs up and the emojis, and we can really judge someone based on the way that they text. So it's really important to identify your own texting style, but to know what theirs is too.
Now, sometimes you can actually send out the wrong messages by sending text messages. For example, something that I've started to do recently is put 2 kisses at the end of text messages, and sometimes you forget who you're sending the message to, so you can be sending that message out to somebody who you would never want to kiss in a million years.
Absolutely. And the thing is this, that some people would be super excited about receiving that kiss. Some people may not even realize that you've done it. But then sometimes when you're the person that's done it, you kind of maybe overanalyze and overthink. You think, oh my gosh, what impression have I set off there? So it can be a bit of a minefield, can't it, in terms of the right thing to do and the wrong thing to do. So you do have to kind of know what works for people and what works for you.
Now, what about the whole emoji thing as well? Because when somebody just sends you the thumbs up emoji, sometimes you think, how rude, these people just don't want to talk to me.
Well, this is really interesting. So Purdue have done a lot of research around this, and one thing that we've looked at is that there are different texting love languages, as we call them. So we've reinvented love languages as we know it. So what you described there, the kind of emojis, thumbs up, hearts, all those types of sort of ways of communicating, we've labeled this receiving gifts, like gifts as in GIF. And for these type of people, like, they want to connect with you, but there's no real depth, right? So if you're just getting that might be super off-putting, right? But there are different texting styles as well. So to go back to the texting love languages, so we've got the receiving gifts, we've got the quality texter, so someone that kind of likes the detail, spelling and grammar is usually kind of on point, but not everyone likes those types of text messages. You've got the text of affirmation, so you'll get people that text all day, they're offended if you don't respond within 24 hours. And again, it's important to know that if that's somebody's style, that maybe they might expect the same of you. We've got text of service, so those practical people. So, you know, they're only texting because they want to let you know that we're going on a date tonight and this is where you need to meet me. And then you finally got the light touch, the people that really want to meet you in real life. They're not really that interested in having long, drawn-out text messages. So it's important to identify what your texting style is and to find out what their texting style is.
So what about the whole dating process then? Because, I mean, it's nerve-wracking enough to go on a first date. There's lots of things to think about as well. But now you have to actually think about your texting boundaries too, don't you?
Yeah, because it can really turn you off otherwise, can't it? So, like, if you've got someone that texts like every single day and they're then sending question marks because you haven't responded yet, that could really put you off. But I think if you're able to have a conversation early on about your texting expectations, or textpectations, as we've now called it, then you know what to expect from them, and you can just have an open conversation. I think that's really key when it comes to relationships.
And then when it comes to using emojis, people aren't just using them when they're texting. When you start maybe going to something like a dating site, they're using emojis when chatting virtually as well, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is that this doesn't work for everyone. So I think that emojis are quite a nice, fun, light way of expressing how you're feeling. And it can also be a way of you kind of not really having time for dating and wanting to move away from, engaging in a more healthier way. Yeah. But I think that unless you know the person, like really know the person, it's really hard to tell their intentions based on their texting style alone. So I just want to encourage people to get to know someone, get to know lots of different people. So you're not just focused on waiting for that one text message to come through, but also not to judge and overthink it, because you could be potentially saying goodbye to someone who is fantastic.
So what turns you off people then when it comes to text messages?
That's a really good question. So I think in terms of texting styles, I usually don't like people that just like, it's the receiving gifts one. So, the whole thumbs up emojis for everything. I remember it was a friend actually, I said to them, you've literally got a gift for everything. I'm like, where do you find these gifts? But I think actually what I was saying is I want to connect with you a little bit deeper than this. But they were the type of person that preferred to meet in real life as well. So, as long as they're willing to meet in real life or have an actual conversation, and as a therapist, that's obviously really important to me to have an actual conversation, then I can work around it.
Voice notes are the number one thing that annoys me, and especially people who think it's okay to leave me an 8-minute voice note. 15 to 20 seconds is okay, but 8 minutes, forget it. I'm never going to listen to it.
You know what? That's really interesting. And again, I think it goes back to like texting styles as well, right? You have to know what someone's style is. So I know that I've got family members that I can send long text messages to and long voice notes to. But I also know that some people in my life, they wouldn't even listen to like 10 seconds of the voice note. They'll get bored. And if I send a long text message, they will just probably say, okay, and they probably haven't even read or digested what I've said. So it's about knowing who you're communicating with and what works for them and you as well.
And what about online dating these days? Is that still popular? Because we know there's a lot of fake profiles and fake people out there now, isn't there?
You are right, but in real life there are a lot of fake people out there as well, right? So it's probably not so easy to identify in real life, but there are, I suppose, fake people wherever we go. I think that of course on online dating platforms there will be people that maybe aren't very serious, but the key is that we're looking for people, well, if you are in that space where you're looking for people who are serious, then it's about having open communication, talking about your texting style, not jumping to conclusion just because they haven't responded in 24 hours, but also assessing everything. Because I think what's important to also say here is that if you've got someone who's sending emojis every day and they're not really giving you much more, they're not organising a date, they're not speaking to you on the phone, then it's a possibility that they're not really a person that can communicate in a way that a relationship requires.
Now, while I have you on, Charlene, I got to talk about Married at First Sight, because when I first heard the idea for this show, I thought this is never going to work in a million years, but it does. It's hugely popular, and actually, it's addictive TV, isn't it?
It is so successful, and we're really proud of it. And every year, I feel like you just think it can't get better, and it gets better and better and better. And we've got a diverse range of people on the show. We've got every possible issue that you can imagine happens in relationships or happen on Married at First Sight. And then of course you've got Mel, Paul and I who will, give advice and guidance, and we challenge them as well. And I think that, the viewers like to see that.
So what about a new series of Married at First Sight? Is there one coming soon?
So the new series comes out on, so I need to be careful in terms of what I can and can't say, but this has come out already, just come out. So on the 18th of September, we will be back on your screens. And all the cast members, all our brides and grooms have also been announced in the media. So I would say, so pop onto my Instagram, Charlene Douglas Official. Anything that I'm allowed to say, as soon as I'm given a green light, I say it straight away. So follow me there and you'll get all the information on there.
So it looks like you have the best job in the world.
Do you know what it is? I mean, what I do, like, I'm obviously I work in private practice, talking about intimacy and relationships. So that's a blessing to be able to do that. To then be able to do that on a bigger platform like Married at First Sight is a real honour. So I'm very grateful.
I mean, you're out and about. Are you always watching couples and what they're doing, watching their body language and stuff like that?
Yeah, I find it extremely fascinating. I feel like even when I was younger, I would be the one that would sit around the table, and if anyone had maybe, had an affair or someone or a couple who weren't talking, I could see that. Like I could see their body language, and I just knew it. And so I think I've always been fascinated in observing relationships, the dynamics of relationships, and yeah, it's something I'm really passionate about.
Well, Charlene, it's been great talking to you. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to the new series of Married at First Sight. And of course, thank you for all the dating advice and texting advice as well.
You're welcome. Good luck. Thank you. Thanks, Robin.
Okay, let's find out about this year's Aspects Literary Festival, which is back from the 27th of September and runs through until the 7th of October. To tell us all about it, I'm pleased to say that the director, Patricia Hamilton, joins us in the studio. How are you?
Hi, Robin.
Can't believe it's a year since the last time you were here.
Neither can I. It has flown in.
Indeed. So you're back with another packed programme, and I want to start off by talking about Bill Whelan, because for any Riverdance fan, this is the big one really this year, isn't it?
It is. We're really, really thrilled that he's coming to the festival this year. That's going to be a really special interview in Bangor Castle. So I'm really looking forward to that, and we hope there'll be a little bit of music to accompany that, which will make it so unique. So that'll be really lovely.
Because of course everybody remembers that night at Eurovision when we first heard Riverdance as the interval act. That stayed with people all those years.
Absolutely. Well, it changed the course of really Irish dancing and Irish music at that point. I mean, it really put Ireland on that stage, and it had such longevity. Everyone knows that everybody's heard of Riverdance. So it'll be that insight in that interview will be really special.
Brilliant. So we look forward to that.
Yeah.
I know Lady Mary Peters is also making an appearance.
Yes, we're looking forward to that as well. That's one that's I think about to sell out actually, but it's that will be really special. We have 3 really fantastic memoirs actually part of the festival. So Dame Mary Peters is coming to talk to Pamela Ballantyne to go really through her
what a life she's had, from winning gold in '72 right through all the rest of the stuff that she's done.
And what's brilliant about the festival is we always have a Q&A as part of, so people get to get their personal questions in and reminisce, and it's really that added layer just makes it really special.
Another big highlight is Judith Mock, who's somebody that I don't really know a lot about. So tell me about Judith.
No, Judith has had many different, I suppose, careers and experiences, but she was born in the Netherlands. She is actually very much well known in the music industry in terms of, she's a soprano. She's done a lot of work with a lot of well-known contemporary singers and travelled the world and worked with them. But she has written a book really about mostly about her grandparents and the history and about the Holocaust and what she discovered and found out. But what's lovely about that book, it's got poetry in it, it's got memoir, and it's her personal insight. So that's a really unique and interesting event that will be as part of the festival.
Definitely, and of course, as the festival is based in Bangor, tell me about Rachel McCarthy's special film.
So Rachel, you might know Rachel as one of the Darkling Air. Yes, so Rachel is an incredibly talented individual. Rachel is an artist and a musician, and she's made this film. So this is, she has really, it's in many ways is a love letter to Bangor. It's about the changes, it's about the history, and it's going to be in Bangor Abbey. So it's right where a lot of the film sort of depicts. And there's going to be, it'll be multidisciplinary, where there's, you'll hear some poetry and some music, and that'll be a really lovely event to hold it right there. It's only been shown once before, so we're really pleased it's part of the festival.
Brilliant. Tell me about the nature walk as well along Bangor's coastal path. That sounds lovely.
It is lovely, and it's Maggie Doyle. So Maggie has written this very, as quite a new writer. She has been studying and doing her, like really as a new, because she was actually a producer for the BBC for many years and has written this lovely book with an illustrated book of her experience of moving back to sort of the home farm, Maggie's farm, and they have a donkey sanctuary there and so on.
They have a fabulous music venue there as well,
music
don't
venue. They do. So it's like a whole second career as well. So she is going to be doing readings and we're going to walk around that lovely coastal path and then she is going to come and join the event at 2 o'clock that same day with Grania Lyons, Wild Atlantic Woman, and Karen Doherty, and it's going to be about nature writing. So she's going to join that event as well. So that's a really special sort of event around writing and experience. And it's some of those books, they actually all three of those books weave a personal memoir element into that nature writing. So it's a really, and I think for anybody any aspiring writers, that's a really, it's a lovely conversation around how it's never, you can start this at any point. And that's what actually part of the festival is about. It's about encouraging people to, write a poem, to put down their own memories, to write a little bit of prose and get inspired by the events as well. And it's trying not to be intimidating too,
When it comes to literature at the moment as well, it's something we're really good at in Northern Ireland. You think about the amount of crime writers there are coming up at the moment as well. We're doing the writing, the poetry as well. We're doing really well, aren't we?
Yes, we are. I mean, it is an island of immense talent
in the literary... storytelling background, doesn't it?
Absolutely it does. And I mean, it's the only family, we've sort of separated out our children's event, which are going to take place in the new year. We have one family event and it's sold out so quickly, but it's the nature, it's the Chew and Yarn, and that's about bringing families into the forest at Clandyboy and doing storytelling and writing in that natural environment. And it's sort of giving different experiences. And actually, just to mention about Clandyboy, we have a partnership with Clandyboy Estate and Queen's University, Trinity College Dublin, where we bring students together and we do a showcase called the Clandyboy Reading Party. And we were very, very sad that during lockdown, Lady Dufferin passed away, who was very much about bringing that partnership together. So in her honour, we're on the 7th of October, we have a whole day and the students are coming back. And there's some really interesting events as part of that day. So Gail McConnell, poet, will be doing a reading as part of that as well. The theme for that is childhood and will be a really, really lovely day.
And we do have a book about Lady Dufferin's godson as well, don't we?
Yes, Harry Mount has written sort of collected little stories. I mean, she was so unique. I mean, she really was a fascinating person. I was very honoured to get to know her, and over those years with the reading party, and I was very upset now when she passed, and but she was incredible. She gave the most amazing talk a few years ago when we had the theme of environment, and she stood up and she told all about, it was all about her paintings and the influence and her friendship with David Hockney. I mean, the stories were incredible, and some of them are in this book. But she said she's part of the Bloomsbury crowd, and it was amazing. But her paintings were beautiful abstract paintings of the cows on the estate and the influence that had on her. And so she was part of working out the detail of this festival, and it hasn't happened since 2019. So we're pleased to bring that back, and her godson is going to be there to talk about some of those stories that went into the book. There's some quite interesting little anecdotes that will be part of that, and we hope that will round off the whole festival, where we're hoping to have a really nice relaxed evening out of that after that event, and telling stories, and there might be the odd bit of singing, and the bar might even be open.
Brilliant, excellent. So, I'm looking at Glenn Patterson now, who's always worth going to see, isn't he?
Yes, Glenn is great. He's been a friend of the festival for many, many years. He read at one of the first. I mean, the Aspects Festival was going for more than 30 years, and Glenn came in one of those early years. So we're pleased that he's back. His new book isn't quite out yet, so it's one of his first readings of 2 summers. So we're pleased about that.
Okay, well, let's choose one more highlight from this year's programme. What else do you think deserves a mention then? 2
really interesting events in Northdown Museum. One, we've got Malachy O'Doherty interviewing Frank Gaffigan, which is very much an academic text. However, Malachy's going to pull out from Frank talking about the human paradox. It's looking at how we're in such a connected world with all the technology, but actually we're probably more disconnected than we have ever been. So it's a broad subject, and I think that's going to have a really interesting debate. So I think that's going to be a really interesting and really exciting one. And then also we've got Fionnuala Meredith and Olivia Fitzsimmons talking about their new books, and that's going to be, Nuala McKeever is going to be talking to them about that, and I'm looking forward to that one as well.
Excellent. So for more info and tickets, where can we go to for that?
aspectsfestival.com. It's all there, and there'll be more. There's some little additional bits of information on the website as well.
And I would say be quick as well, because lots of the events are selling out quickly.
Definitely, yes.
Good to see you as always.
And you.
Best of luck for the festival.
Thank you very much indeed.
And it looks like it's going to be a fabulous festival this year. Right, we're heading off to Tenerife next to chat to Scottish comedian Billy Porter right after these.
Let the good times roll at Super Strikes at the Jet Centre. You can now book your lane online. We've got 14 bowling lanes and 4 mini bowling lanes. Plus we serve delicious hot food and snacks, or enjoy a cold beverage with your food after the game. Discover bowling today at the Jet Centre. Jet Centre, entertainment for everyone.
And welcome back to Rob and Elliott tonight. Right, let's meet our final guest on the show this evening. In fact, we're off to the sun. We're off to Tenerife to chat to a man who hasn't been on this show for quite some time. We're talking about Scottish comedian Billy Porter. He's made himself a home in Tenerife, and if you're having a holiday out there, you can catch him every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at Princess Di's Show Bar. It's always a great show to catch. So here's what happens when I caught up with the man himself. Here's Billy Porter. Okay, now when you're here in Tenerife, one of the shows that you must see is the show from the guy who's sitting beside me right now. It is the one and only, the outrageously hilarious Billy Porter. How are you, sir?
I'm very good. Nice to see you in this lovely 40 degrees sunshine, sitting in my suit.
We are melting today. We really are. We really are. Now, the last time we spoke, you were actually in the studio in Belfast. That was quite some time ago, wasn't it?
It was a long time ago. I've been here almost 15 years now in Tenerife, so it was before then. We were just thinking about moving.
All right. Now, obviously, when you see the weather that we're sitting in today, this is the main reason why you obviously left Glasgow.
Definitely. I just thought me and my partner decided to have a chance, see what happens. If it doesn't work, we'll come back. But it's worked so far, and as you witnessed the other night there, the whole of Ireland came to see me and the whole of Scotland, so it's still working after 15 years.
Yeah, you're still packing them in, and as you say, people from all over come to see the show. I think on Friday night when I came to see the show, everybody from every area of Glasgow seemed to be in the audience.
Definitely. It was just a fun night, and it was so good that there were so many people in for Northern Ireland, Southern Ireland, and as they point out, the west of Ireland and all those other places, but a great audience.
So everybody, I mean, obviously holiday makers from all over come to see the show, but who is the best audience? Is it the Northern Irish, the Scottish people?
A bit of both. I love the only accent I can do is the Northern Ireland. I can't do Southern, and they love it when you do it. So I love that, and then the Scottish, because I'm Scottish, and English people, if I do my English accent, they can pick up properly. And then occasionally you get foreigners, but not too often, but you get some hilarious things for the foreigners. I love it.
What was it like in the beginning, being a gay comedian in Glasgow, which is obviously a pretty tough city?
It was pretty tough, but I don't know how. I just seemed to get away with what I got away with. But quite a few of the gay community didn't like the fact that I was making fun of me as a gay man.
Yeah.
But I'm having a joke about me, not about them. But some took offence at it. But now it seems to have sorted itself out, because I get a lot of people now from Scotland, gay people, but mostly straight people.
Yeah.
And the young guys love it when I make attention of them. Of, oh, you're a handsome boy. And they love it. And their girlfriends love it. Oh, he fancies my boyfriend. And you're like, it's a joke.
Yes, yeah.
I'm not taking him home tonight. It's a joke. But they love it.
Yeah. What about coming out in Glasgow as a gay man? Was that difficult to do?
Yes, it probably was. But for me, I didn't want to be gay. But I am.
Yeah.
I can't help it. can't change it, so I'm just going to enjoy it. And I did. And I had a partner for a long, long time. We parted our ways and knew that my partner of the last 24 years, Paul, we're now married, and we've been married now for 9 years. I've just got a wonderful life.
Yeah.
And I love here. I love living here in the sunshine. I work 3 hours, and I'm now contracted to one place, which is Princess Di.
Exactly, yeah.
We had. It's a great bar. Lovely, lovely people work for. I'm so glad that I met them. I worked for them in another bar. They bought this bar, and everything crashed with the COVID thing, and they must have lost a fortune. But everybody's trying to get back on their feet, and we're heading in the right direction.
Where did your love for comedy first begin? Were you one of these kids in school who was always telling jokes and getting into mischief and stuff like that?
That was me, definitely me. And my favourite comedian of all time, who I did get to see in my life, was Bob Hope. And I saw him in Glasgow, and it was wonderful. And it wasn't long before he died. I mean, he was an old man, but he was still funny. And I just always loved him. And I thought, I'll never get to see him. I had 2 ambitions in life. Well, 3. 1, I'll never be able to fulfil now, is fly Concorde, because they don't fly anymore unless they remake them. See Barbra Streisand, which I've done, and see Bob Hope. So a pretty full life. The things that I wanted to do, and I've done them. In comedy, I never expected to get into. I worked in a supermarket. My mother used to sing in bars, and not really for a living. She just enjoyed singing. We were 90 in December, and she still loves singing. Wow. She just loves singing. She was here in January, and she was up singing, and it's great when people say, "Is that your mum? Can't you believe she's that age and she's still singing?" That's her joy.
What about other Scottish comedians? Was Billy Connolly a big influence on you?
Yeah, I mean, Billy Connolly was just the top and the best. I always loved him. I'm quite fussy as to make me laugh. It's very difficult to make me laugh. One of my favourites, Frank Skinner. Yeah. I loved him in the early days, not so much later days, but I just loved him. He was the same type of humour as me. And it's observational humour. Yes, yeah. And as you witnessed the other night, when I told the story that I told, part of my is like picking on the audience and saying things, and I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm lucky enough, I'm quick enough to come up with something instantly. Yeah. And I don't know where that comes to. Somewhere up above, thank you.
Do you know Janie Godley? Oh, yeah. I think she's a fabulous comedian.
No, she's a half cousin of mine.
Really? Wow. So it kind of runs in the family then, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I went to meet her, which another story about, which we've talked about it as in the past, about me. I don't drink anymore. Mm-hmm. So, yes, I do go to AA, and I've not had a drink for 18 and a half years. But on about the first 6 months, I met with Janie Godley, and I was talking about something, and it's a long, long story, so we definitely can't cover it here because it's too long. But it was amazing that I met her on that day, and I'd asked the powers that be upstairs to meet her, and I've never met her before. Yeah. And I asked the sky, let me meet her today. And I went to the toilet in a place, and when I came out the toilet, she was sitting there.
Wow.
So how did that sky organise meeting me? I don't know, but it happened.
Yeah. And again, she's a comedian who's not afraid to say anything. I mean, she's one of these people who doesn't care about PC-ness and stuff like that either, is she?
And she shouldn't. I mean, it's just unfortunate that the powers that be make these rules, and it's just crazy.
Yeah. So when people come to Tenerife, Princess Di's is the new home of yours, isn't it?
Yeah. It's been for the last, just after COVID there, and I do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 o'clock, and that's the only place you can see me in Tenerife. So no matter where you're from in the UK or anywhere in the world, you need to come there to see me. And if you want to have a laugh, I'll guarantee you'll laugh.
Yeah. Do you ever come back to the UK to do any gigs?
I do occasionally go back. Personally, people say, what, do you not miss Glasgow? With this sunshine about? No, because it's always raining. But I go back to see my mother, and I go back to do the odd wee thing. But this is I live here. If I could get a Spanish passport, I would have one.
Yeah, exactly. Billy, good to see you as always, and thank you for doing this.
Thank you, and it was lovely to see you two again, and hopefully see you again before you get back. So, and the next time maybe we'll be over there in Ireland or come to the studio.
We'll get you in the studio, definitely.
Thank you.
Good to see you. So there we go, having fun in the sun with the outrageous Billy Porter. If you're heading to Tenerife, do check out his live show. It's well worth catching. That's all we have time for on the show this week. Thank you to all my guests. Thank you for watching as well. And of course, we'll see you back here same time next week. Bye-bye.
Welcome to Movie House Cinemas. Popcorn? Yes, please. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the movie. Reclining chairs? Don't mind if I do. Action, thriller, romance, we got it all. Discover the cinema today. Movie House Cinemas, home of the movies.